Ravens just wrapped up day 7 of OTAs. Better day from TJ Tampa today. He had an interception. We also have some injuries to go over, and we hear from Malaki Starks and Travis Jones. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Day 7 of OTAs just wrapped up. There's only 3 more practices. A lot of absences today. No Lamar Jackson, Pat Ricard, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Flowers, Emory Jones. Ben Cleveland was there, but he wasn't practicing. Ronnie Stanley was out, Jake Hummel, Kyle Van Noy, Nate Wiggins, Jalen Armour-Davis, Kyle Hamilton, Matt Abike, and Broderick Washington all not present today at OTAs. And we unfortunately had 2 injuries today at practice. The more serious one seems to be Bo Braid, who had a lower leg injury. He couldn't put much weight on his leg as he was helped off the field. And then Awuzie had an ankle injury as well, but it seems that is less serious. We didn't hear from Harbaugh, so we don't have an official update, but both of those guys were hurt at practice today. Diving into some of these practice notes from today, TJ Tampa had an interception on a throw down the seam from Cooper Rush that was intended for Charlie Kolar. Ball was a bit behind Tampa, but he reached back for the snag. He also broke up an end zone pass later in practice. Rashod Bateman led the wide receivers with an active practice, making several nice grabs over the middle, including a big game between the hashes on the first 11-on-11 play of practice. Rookie wide receiver LaJohntay Wester made the best catch of practice, diving to haul in a pass over the middle with a defender on his back. Ryan Mink said that Cooper Rush's interception was a bit of a gamble, but Rush had a particularly sharp practice leading up to that throw. He was dialed in and accurate. Rookie safety Malaki Starks crashed down to break up a short pass intended for Isaiah Likely. Likely also caught a long touchdown pass despite a hold from a defender later in practice. The Ravens worked on their screen game for a good chunk of the early portion of 11-on-11 work. Keaton Mitchell made a one-handed snag out of the backfield. Rookie outside linebacker Mike Green was in perfect position to blow up another intended for Rasheen Ali. Green also stopped Wester on a jet sweep. Both rookie kickers Tyler Loop and John Hoyland were perfect on their attempts in an early portion of practice, simulating a situation in which the Ravens needed a game-tying kick at the end of regulation. They weren't long attempts, but neither kicker missed anything. So great to hear TJ Tampa out there making plays. The last time we heard about TJ Tampa, he was getting a talk from Harbaugh, but it's early. I mean, we're literally looking at day-by-day practice reports, so I don't think it's a huge deal, but definitely want to see more positive than not. And our secondary depth is being tested early this offseason. We lost our Darius Washington already to an Achilles injury. You know, we're looking at the young guys like Sanusi Kane and Bo Braid to step up. Well, Bo Braid goes down today with a lower leg injury, and Awuzie had an ankle injury, and he is coming off a couple years of some injury concerns. So we need a guy like TJ Tampa to step up. We need a Jalen Armour-Davis who wasn't there today, but we've been hearing that he's been running at safety, and all the more to bring in more secondary help, you know, whether that's safety or corner. You know, Jair Alexander was just released today. We still got Justin Simmons floating out there at safety. There's a lot of options for the Ravens to add if they need to. I was totally on board with letting a lot of the young guys just get a lot of reps throughout this offseason, but this is definitely one position group, safety especially, that is getting tested with depth. I mean, you can't lose our Darius Washington and Bo Braid and not be forced to go make a move or change somebody's position or something. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how serious the injury is, but this secondary depth is definitely being tested early. One person in the secondary who is there and is impressing is Malaki Starks. He had a few pass breakups today. He also spoke to the media today. This dude's polished, man. He's intelligent, sharp, and I think he is going to be a really, really nice addition to the Ravens, man. Not just from on the field standpoint, but just as a person. And he said he's getting more comfortable by the day. He's already playing a lot faster than rookie minicamp because he's continuously learning this defense and not thinking so much. And he's already working some overtime with Chuck Pagano, who texted him at 5 a.m. this morning with some film from last week's practice.
I told Chuck when I first got here, I was like, you remind me of Muschamp a lot, Will Muschamp. I was like, you're not as fiery. Muschamp is snap in a minute. But I was like, just the way they go about their business, you know, and just like the knowledge of football that they both have. He texted me like at 5 this morning. with film from Thursday practice. And I woke up, I was like, okay, cool, like that makes sense. So just being able to have somebody, like that's how I want to be coached. I received that very well. So just being able to have somebody like that in my corner, I mean, it's a blessing.
Malaki Starks also said that one of the hardest players that he's had to defend at OTAs and the guy that surprised him the most is Isaiah Likely.
Isaiah, I had a rep against Isaiah the other day, and he's a lot quicker than what he looks on TV and in person. So, like I said, just being able to learn from him, just the knowledge that he's had while he's been here, and just the way that he does things. Every tight end is a little different, but he's very quick. He very knowledgeable about the game of ball, so just being able to go against him is only making me better.
We also heard from the Ravens D-line coach today, Dennis Johnson, who was raving about Aeneas Peebles, said he has elite get-off and is going to play a role for the Ravens this year. And I think this is a 6th-round gem, man. I've been talking about it since the end of the draft. Plays a different role than a guy like John Jenkins was brought into play, not just a run stuffer. I think Aeneas Peebles is going to be able to get to the quarterback. It's going to be in some third down packages. And I love what I'm seeing from him already as a rookie. I think his personality fits perfectly with this team, and I think his play on the field is extremely underrated. We also heard from Travis Jones, who said he is not thinking about his contract. He's 100% back from that ankle injury and is trying to become more of a vocal leader. He even broke down the team huddle recently, even though he says that it's uncomfortable for him.
Yeah, I just got to get used to doing the uncomfortable things, like speaking up more. Like the other day, coach had me break down the huddle. I was a little uncomfortable. I'm getting more comfortable with it now.
Is that something you were intentional about this offseason, or why thinking like that, or has it kind of happened naturally?
Nah, it wasn't on the front of my mind, but it started coming more natural. I'm getting more comfortable with it now. Yeah, for sure.
This is going to be a monster year for Travis Jones, another guy that is in a contract year like a Dafe Owe. This is going to be a dominant year from Travis Jones. I guarantee it. He was having an incredible year last year, even with the ankle. So I can't imagine a healthy, explosive Travis Jones that's not hobbled by an ankle injury. I mean, he's a heavy dude, so to have an ankle injury like that, he was definitely playing a bit slower than he wanted to. So this is going to be a huge year for Travis Jones. But that's pretty much it from today. Not a ton going on. A ton of guys were not at OTAs. We only have 3 OTAs practices left, and then mandatory minicamp will be next week, which everyone will be at. So I'm already getting a little antsy for that as OTAs kind of winds down. I'm ready for some mandatory minicamp, so that'll be next week. But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.